But as you see, Alan and I have now swapped places because it's Alan's turn now. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome Alan, who's Executive Director of Nursing and Primary Care and Older People Services in the Western Trust, to the podium to reflect on his 39 years working as a registered nurse. So if you include his career years, that's a total of 42 years worth of experience in the health service. Alan began his career as a psychiatric nurse in 1978, qualifying as a general nurse in 1981. He has held various professional and general management roles across Northern Ireland since then, including director posts covering acute hospital services, mental health, learning disability, women and children's services, quality improvement and patient services. He's been an executive director since 1991. Alan also holds the positions of Vice President of the Northern Ireland Hospice, Chair of the CHKS International Accreditation Awards Panel, and is a member of the Nursing and Midwifery Task Force, which featured in this morning's sessions. Regionally, Alan leads on recording care and co-chairs the Workforce and Education Strategy Group on behalf of the CNO. We're delighted to have Alan here today as he looks forward to retiring in April this year to reflect on his experience of leadership in health and social care over the last 42 years. Alan, you're very welcome.
Thank you very much, Angela, and you've picked up already that I am a big fan of NIPEC, and I think they do some fantastic work, and I've really enjoyed working with Angela and her predecessors and a number of her team members, Brenda and Francis, and particularly Angela, who I've worked with quite a lot, so they've been great support to me over the years. So thank you for the opportunity for reflection and a little bit of reminiscence therapy for somebody as old as me. So I suppose I'm going to keep this as light as I can. I'm going to show you some photographs. You'll be shocked at some of them, I'm sure. But I suppose, why nursing? Why did I become a nurse? Question everybody asks. And I suppose my background, where I came from in Belfast, most people went into a trade or something else. They didn't go into nursing, so I was quite unusual from where I came from. Actually, you wouldn't think to look at me today, but I was quite fashionable in the 70s, and I was very into fashion, and I wanted to own a boutique. Boutiques were then a thing at the stage, and I ended up working in one. There's probably nobody in the room old enough to remember. There's one called Brown Sugar in College Street. Anybody remember? You remember? We worked together many years ago, and that was a very trendy boutique. If you went to buy a shirt in there, you could be guaranteed there'd only be 6 in the country. You wouldn't get it wasn't like going to Marks and Spencer's or any of those places. Actually, it was an interesting time because at the height of the Loyalist strike, some people might remember, we didn't have electric, we didn't have gas, we didn't have very much. You could hardly get any sugar. We had some elderly man who came in and said, "Could I buy a bag, please?" And actually, Brown Sugar, I thought was to do with the song, the Stones song, but actually Brown Sugar actually means something about illicit drugs. It took me about 40 years to work that out. Anyway, I suppose my nursing, I did that for a little while, and then, is somebody moving on for me? Yes? It just moved by itself. Thankfully you can't see the pictures very well. Why nursing? I wanted to do something different, something more worthwhile. That came to me. And for those of you who know me pretty well, you might be surprised about this, because I am prone to bad language from time to time, and also risque jokes, but I do have a faith, and I had a faith then. And I felt it was a vocation for me. I felt it was what God wanted me to do. That's honestly what I felt. And so if I've been difficult over the years, it's really because I feel I was wanting to do the right thing. Obviously, not everybody agreed with me. So I'm going to talk about a personal career reflection. Nursing in the 70s. At least 1 or 2 in the room will remember what more. What's much the same? What needs to change? What next to the services and profession? And what next to me, and maybe some tips on progression and enjoyment in your career. And up in the right-hand corner, you'll see I'm the one on the left. I think my first day in theatres in the Ulster Hospital in 1976. And you can see I had my hair covered, but the boy in the middle, he was worried about wrecking his hair, obviously, because he hasn't got his covered. And yes, I did have black, luxurious hair. The women used to come and ask me what type of shampoo I used, but obviously all those years of tending didn't do me much good. So, What have I done? Doing something? No. Do you want to Okay. I'm not going to... Okay. No, don't mean to stay there. You're right. So my wife's right, I can't multitask. I'm not expecting to read all that because that's my career, that's my sort of CV and things that I've done. But I've worked in different, I did psychiatry, I did general, I was a charge nurse in older people's services in the Ulster Hospital, nursing officer in the Royal, senior nursing officer in the City, and so on and so on and so on. And there are a number of people here I've worked with over the years, up until my most recent post in the Western Trust. So, okay. So I suppose in the 70s, what was it like? Well, it was fun. I know a lot of people in the health service don't believe that these days, but actually, that it's fun now, but it actually was fun then. And we had good fun, and we had pranks, and we had a lot of support and competition amongst ourselves. We had syllabuses in those days, and it was competition as to who'd done so many, and had you been deemed competent and more than your colleague. Fashion was a big thing. It was the 70s after all, and we were all interested in that outside our work lives. And music. Now, I remember vividly before iPods, iPads, Android phones and all of that, you actually had to go to the nurse's home and somebody had to put on a vinyl record to play it so we could hear it. And I remember going and listening to Bohemian Rhapsody when it was #1. I think it was about 1977 or something like that. Anyway, we entered the profession wide-eyed with anticipation. We wanted to change the world. And I was talking to somebody earlier at the table, and I remember my first clinical teacher, and we talked then about the practice education gap, which is still here today. But it was about, we were taught certain things in the College of Nursing, then we went into the wards and it was quite different. But we did want to change the world, and we were sort of trying to swim upstream. I was working in an institution. It was an institution where things were very set in their ways, and we wanted to change. That was a mental health hospital where patients wore communal clothing. They didn't know how to make a choice about what they would put on, and I just couldn't get my head around that sort of stuff. So wasn't just me, lots of people wanted to do that as well. The impact of the Troubles, and I suppose I do regret when the RCN did the book, Janice, and I didn't contribute to it. I regret not having done that when I heard some of the stories. There's some really tragic stories nursing through the Troubles, and some funny ones as well. And I remember a number of things happening. You'd be in charge of a psychiatric ward, and 2 opposing paramilitary groups may have been admitted for having been out on the tear at the weekend and taking drugs or whatever. And there were issues like that. I remember going down the Ormer Road one evening, being driven home, and a gunman stood up in the middle of the Ormer Road and pointed the gun straight at us, and we turned the car, drove in the opposite direction. I also remember working in the Ulster Hospital, where a number in Ward 16, which is a plastic surgical unit for anybody who remembers that. And that's where we got a lot of the bomb blast and gunshot victims. And that was pretty harrowing stuff. And I remember vividly one particularly young girl who had taken a bomb blast to the backs of her legs, and so she had to lie in a prone position. And one of the big things that she wanted done was her hair washed, and so I took the head off the bed and washed her hair, whether she was lying in the prone position or not. But there was funny things as well. In the RCN book, one of the ones in Alton Galvin was that there was something ticking in a bag in Alton Galvin's A&E department, of the A&E department nurses, and the ward sister asked one of the staff nurses to take it outside, which she duly did, and put it on the lawn, only to find that it was a pound of mince in somebody's alarm clock. So, but at least people did what they were told in those days. That was it. There were lots of rules and regulations, and we obeyed most of them. Hierarchies were a big thing. You were doffing your cap to all these people in high-powered positions. In fact, when I was a student, I wouldn't have known who the director of nursing is, and I'm not even sure sometimes students know these days, but we didn't really know who everybody was. We were up there and we didn't quite know what to do, and I suppose it's a wee bit the same today. We really enjoyed working with patients. That was what it was all about. Working in general law and psychiatry. it was great to work with patients, and I vividly remember some of the patients I worked with in my very first ward. I could tell you their names, I could tell you circumstances, I could tell you what their care needs were, and I'm sure you could too, because we all remember patients and circumstances. The care was very structured, very task-oriented, but, and I'm not suggesting for a minute we go back to that, but at least things got done. If somebody had to have mouth care, they got mouth care. Now we have a holistic approach to care, and we regularly hear somebody hasn't had their mouth care, so there has to be a better way of doing it, and some learning perhaps from the past. There's a lot of collegiality, and we worked very closely together with our colleagues and had good working relationships and good fun. But the practice was very, very much based on trial and error and tradition. So I remember putting egg white and oxygen on pressure sores and honey and God knows what. We used to, potions we tried to heal wounds, but we tried all those things, but it was trial and error, so it was a very, where's Tanya? Tanya's horrified. It was suppose it was very early days research. You tried it, if it didn't work, you tried something else. Okay, next. So what's changed? The patient profile, clearly, patients, as you well know, are much older. I mean, it's not unusual to have people well into their 90s within our acute wards, and the advent of long-term conditions alongside that. I mean, I do remember, and some of you will remember as well, surgical wards where you had a lot of young patients who come in with bleeding ulcers and epilepsy and all those things that drugs have generally sorted out these days. So you don't have that young cohort so much in hospital anymore. Public expectations, I think, are higher now because we have an educated public. They watch television, they read things, they go on the internet. We've got people who know almost as much, or maybe more, about their condition as some of the clinicians who look after them, so that's different. And patients as partners, I mean, in those days, patients really did what they were told, and we wanted them to be grateful for it. And nowadays, I think patients expect us to work alongside them as partners, and we get much more out of it, as we heard from some people who spoke earlier today. Focus on hospitals. I don't know that we've really made much progress here. We're still focused. Oops, there's no chance. A few more minutes. So we have with people focusing on we're all focused on hospitals. It's all about acute services. It's all about ED waiting times. It's all about throughput and delayed discharges. When actually it needs to be more focused in the community. Research and evidence-based practice clearly is more to the fore today, and I think nurses are, sadly, I think, being driven rather than leading in many cases. And you'll see some of the, up in the right-hand corner, she said, that was the Royal, you can see the Red Sisters, I'm sure any of you who work there. If you were a Red Sister in the Royal, you were in charge of your ward, you set the standard, and what you said happened. And nowadays there are 100 people coming in telling you what you should be doing. I hear stories of doors being pushed open and patients being pushed in whenever they've already got too many patients. So there's something about nurses taking control again of their environment of care, and I think that's really important. Local government we have now, we didn't have then. Is it any better? I'm not even going to try it. I probably would get sacked, but I'm within a month of retiring, so what does it matter? But I do think it's time our politicians got back together and started moving on the things that really are important to us and to patients, and the things that people need, and we get a budget and we get healthcare moving again. There's more of a target culture clearly today, and some of that's good because it used to be a thing that people were on waiting lists instead for, it seemed to be doctors particularly like waiting lists. You know, I've got somebody on my waiting list waiting 3 years. They thought that was a great thing. Clearly it wasn't. People were suffering and people died in waiting lists. So some of that was good, but I do think there's a bit more work to do to refine that because we're using the same measures for all these different conditions which clearly don't have the same weight. More KPIs and evidence of care, and that's a good thing, real good evidence, what nurses are contributing. Much more media scrutiny today, and move to a graduate workforce. Respect for the profession and society. I think we probably have lost a little in that I think nurses had a much higher profile and respect in society than they do now. But having said that, I still think we are, and in fact I know we've seen the research, nurses are still the most respected profession within health and social care. So the patients still trust us generally, but they might complain about you as well now as the doctor or somebody else if you've got a bad attitude or something you didn't do. Gender, and you've seen recent research, there's not many more men in nursing these days than there were 40 years ago really. Nothing much has changed. And funny, I was at a conference in England yesterday, and I have a number of colleagues I work with in Portugal, and there's a lot more males in nursing in Portugal. But also marital and partnership status. To get on in nursing all those years ago, basically you had to be unmarried, an unmarried woman or a man, because you were married to the job. Now, I happen to have a wife who was very tolerant of me not being there often. My dinner was occasionally in the dog, but generally she was pretty understanding and supported me throughout that. But I remember even when we were having our first child, and my wife was working in the same hospital with me and she was pregnant, and those days nurses wore these theatre smocks. That was the only thing they'd give you, not a bigger size uniform like they do today. And I remember people tupping the fact that a nurse was pregnant, so things have moved on quite a bit, hopefully. The road, more technological and more computerisation. Email, anybody in the room hate emails? I actually think it prevents you from doing the job. I'm in my last 4 weeks of my job, and for some reason people stopped emailing me. That's great. They're probably thinking, what's the point? Because he's not going to be there. So they're bypassing me already. And I think I am free to engage with the workforce, see patients, do what I want to do. Because, that email is meant to make our lives easier, but everybody wants a response yesterday. I mean, I have people, not so much other professionals, but sometimes people in the general management role, they say, but I sent you an email at 3:15, and I said, well, I wasn't sitting at my desk at 3:15 waiting and arriving, I was doing other things. So I think demand for information, we're loaded with information, or data, not enough information really. So. Speed of the patient journey clearly has got much faster, and the quality of care, I think, is probably better. Although I don't remember many patients coming to harm in those days, or maybe we didn't know, but I don't remember. Many more specialist roles and developing, and of course increased infection risks to do with foreign travel and with the overuse of antibiotics, etc. That's obviously another issue. The nurse in the middle, there in the blue, pale blue uniform, the pretty one, that's my daughter. She obviously takes her looks after me, not her mother, but that's not true. She looks like her mother, and I've always prided myself in trying to stay away from other members of my family. But I found myself as the director of nursing in a trust where I had my wife and my daughter working in the same place, both having suggestions about how I could do my job better. But that's a good thing. I suppose what's the same, patient dependency culture. I still think patients come to us and ask or trust us to make a decision for them, instead of making decisions for themselves, because they do trust us. And I suppose even before birth, pre-conception right up to bereavement, we are in a privileged position where we are with patients throughout that whole life stage, but we should be doing more about empowering patients. Self-care, we talk a lot about it, people using their pharmacists, people using the treatment room nurse, etc. Rather than, it seems at the minute, and I'm sure the ED people would, the first point of contact with health and social care now is the ED department. If you're not well and you've got a sniffle, you turn up there. You don't have to have it, well, we discourage if they don't have an accident or an emergency, but they still turn up. We need to change that. Community groups, and I learned a lot of this from Maura Devlin, because I knew nothing about community until I worked with Maura and down Lisburn. And I still think community and hard to reach groups are still the poor relation. We're still targeting. We used to talk a lot about and do a lot of community development, and now it seems to be a niche road. It's not mainstream the way it should be, and I think we need to do more, particularly with the ageing population. We need to do more about empowering communities and helping communities help themselves, because they can do it more flexibly, cheaper, and possibly better, and get in earlier. Nurses are still going the extra mile. Nothing's changed there. The nurses, as I remember a midwife I used to work with, Rena will remember, Rosie Hood, she used to say, isn't it funny how we can do everybody else's job, but nobody can do ours? But nurses still go the extra mile, and I know that nurses are going off duty late. They go when the work's done, they get when the handover's done. If patients have a need, they will attend to them. And we're still striving for excellence in good patient care experience, and I think there is still a very strong culture of caring. So what needs to change, and this is a subject close to Charlotte's heart, I know, workforce planning, way before Charlotte's time, and it wasn't the chief nurse even then, but somebody somewhere decided to cut the nursing trainee numbers, and we're paying the price today. And we know there's a global shortage, and we know that places in England that normally supported their hospitals with lots of overseas nurses can't get them, and we're struggling as well to get nurses. But obviously there's a lot of initiatives ongoing, overseas recruitment, which Lynn's dealing with, a number of local initiatives, Open University, different things that are happening that need to get us more feet on the ground. We also, I think, need to think creatively, and I'm not suggesting we adjust the skill mix here. I think we've done a lot, but I do think there are times, and I've said to my own ward sisters, if we can't get you more nurses in the next 6 to 9 months, what would help? So you've got 1 day a week of a ward clerk. Would it help to have somebody all week and spend the money for that period of time on that? And maybe that's some of the things we have to think about, giving things over that nurses don't need to do. Lots of new roles coming along, obviously specialist and support roles, advanced nurse practitioners. I know we've got a few, but we need and want a lot more. Nurse consultants, where they are, they're making great inroads, but again, we need more of them. And I firmly believe that nurses should be the first port of call for primary, community and secondary care, and they should be the gatekeepers. So when you go to your GP, if you want to see your GP, I think you should be seen by a nurse first, and the nurse can decide whether they can treat you and send you home, or whether you need to be passed on. And that applies right across the board. Recognition and reward, and I think Fanula or somebody said earlier, about the pay, and we are paying our nurses 1%, I think, less than the rest of the UK. Is that right? More than that. And so why are we surprised that we can't attract people here? So something needs to happen about that. And it's not just the pay. The pay is important, but I remember people talking about this earlier about people being appreciated, and I remember working in the Ulster Hospital and other places and being absolutely killed at the end of the shift, but going out the door and the ward sister saying, "Thank you very much, you did a great job," and you came in the next day with a bounce in your step because you felt appreciated and wanted and needed. We need to do a bit more. We've got a lot of KPIs, but we need to do more about outcome measurement, and are we having the impact on patients that we want? And focus on safety and quality first. I happen to work in an organisation that with a chief executive that does put quality and safety first, and that's a reassurance to me because she does listen to a professional voice. If I say, no, we can't do that, or we need to do that, she will listen, and that's a good thing. Some of the targets, I think, perhaps need to be adjusted, maybe some reduced, that maybe aren't as critical as others, and more involvement of patients and family and community engagement. I would have to say, because I chair the regional record keeping group, and Angela would shoot me if I didn't, professionalism and record keeping, and we know, even though we've been working at this for years, that we go to litigation, we go to complaints and investigations, and our record keeping is found wanting. And that can't continue. We have made improvements. We have a PACE project being rolled out now, but we need to roll it right out across all clinical areas and improve our nursing records. And of course, and again, Charlotte would be passionate about this, is getting computerisation in. That's what we have to do. Leadership, I think we need more of it at all levels, and we should be encouraging it. And I think we need more fun. It is a pretty serious business. I think the style of leadership in our country needs to improve. I still think, as a nursing profession, we're inclined to take the heads off people rather than support them. I think we need to, I'm not suggesting to go the doctor's way, because I think that's too far, but I think we need to support each other better. More honesty with the public, and listen to public opinion, a bit like Tommy said today. Listen to public opinion and what the patients want. And I was at a conference yesterday, as I was saying, and Margaret Murphy was speaking at that. I know she's spoken at a number of conferences about the death of her son, who died at age 20 with an undiagnosed pituitary tumour. And I heard it for the second time, and it had the same impact on me yesterday as it had the first time I heard it. And the same with Tommy today. We need to listen to what patients think, what patients want, and what they need. And if in our professional opinion, there's a bit of incongruity about that, but then we need to have that debate and discussion with them. and be more understanding and expectations. So what next for services and the profession? I think setting standards, we need to be more specific about the standards we expect across the service, and matching those resources to expected standards. I know there was a question earlier about normative staff and delivering care, and that has started, thank goodness, and it will continue into the future. Money will always be a problem, there will never be enough money, but at least we will have the evidence to make the argument. Being more open with the public, I think, is important. And as I mentioned earlier, encouraging self-care and partnerships. And I suppose the big societal debate about care, costs and choice. And I'm not advocating this, but if you live in England and you're in a state of domiciliary care, you'll have to pay for it. Here, you don't pay for it, and that has cost it's a huge amount of money. And people also get benefits, and then we need professionals to be more courageous in conversations with them about how they use their money. We have people who are getting mobility allowance, and yet they're sending taxis to pick them up to take them to care centres. So there's something wrong there. Nurses as leaders, I think we're well placed to lead on many fronts. And whilst we might not be the answer to everything, we certainly have an opinion and a view on everything. I think we need to listen to. So stepping up to the plate, and also, as I mentioned earlier, again, the first point of contact for access to services. Regulation, revalidation, scrutiny clearly is going to come in more in spades, and with that shouldn't say create, it should be greater accountability. Okay, so what next for me? Well, I do a few things outside, part of my job and part outside my job, but I'm Vice President of Northern Ireland Hospice. I used to be the chair, and I'm also chair of an international accreditation panel, CHKS, which is an accreditation organisation, sadly not used so much in Northern Ireland, used extensively in Northern Ireland and in care homes and hospices in England, and England, Scotland, Wales hospitals use it as well, and certainly imaging centres as well, but also in Portugal I've been able to be a surveyor with a number of those places. And I'm also on the All-Ireland Institute of Hospice and Palliative Care. I should explain to this, the top, I don't know how much of this you can see, the top sort of oval shape is my immediate family, my son Stuart, my daughter-in-law Kate, and my daughter Claire, and the two wee ones are Jack and Hope, and the big one then is me. But the other thing that sort of came this year for me was my experience. I went to Zimbabwe to do something completely different, and I worked with missionaries, a guy called Alan Graham and his wife Dorothy. He's from Belfast, she's from Liverpool, it's a great mix. And I suppose it came very close to home this week when you read the things that have happened in, and I can't say the word, Tuam, whatever, Tuam. Alan lived in Rhodesia as it was then, and then he went back at a later time when it became Zimbabwe, and he didn't know why he was there as a missionary, but he thought it was something to do with children, and the main city pipes blocked in Harare, and you probably know where this is going. When they opened the pipes, they found the bodies of 25 babies in the pipes, and he referred to them as throwaway babies because lots of these babies, some were born dead, some were stillborn, some were orphaned, and some were birthed in the toilet. When I say toilet, I don't mean like we have. I'm talking about a hole in the ground and flushed away, basically. Because you've got a lot of issues out there with rape of young girls. You have the advent of HIV and AIDS, and a lot of kids. So anyway, to cut a very long story short, he adopted 14 children, and they live with close to him and his wife, and they have care staff to support them. But they also provide support into a number of schools, because his view is you need to help the next generation coming up. So you can't go to school in Zimbabwe unless you wear a uniform. You might not have a penny to feed yourself, but you need to have a uniform. So the charity provides uniforms, shoes. They have feeding programs in some of the places and we've been where they feed the children once a day. And it's heartbreaking, but it's also, I don't know how to describe it, other than I was completely are and how they just want to be loved. So anyway, I went out and did that, and I'm not that children oriented. Anybody knows me. I love my grandchildren, love my own children. But if you had a child here today, create yours, Jack, Angela. But I'm not somebody who coos over babies, not really. But this was a great experience, and actually I had been toying with the idea of retiring sometime this year. And I went to Africa, and the day I came back after, I put in a resignation of that. I'm going to do something different. So, that's some things for next. I'm really there. I do some church work and I want to do a wee bit more. Childcare, I did say to my chief executive, you're probably not going to hear this very often from a 57-year-old man, but I have childcare responsibilities and I have to leave at 4:30 to pick my granddaughter. So I was glad to hear the last line. We all had an open offers. The wee guy on the right is Jack, my grandson, who's 3, and Hope is on the left, and she's my granddaughter. She's also 3. In this scan, you probably can't see it very well. This is my granddaughter yet to be born. She will be born sometime in June. I think that's a 26-week scan. And if you get up close, you can see her eyes, nose and mouth. So that's what I'm going to be doing in the days ahead. So some tips for progression in career, enjoyment in your career. I think you do have to have a vision. And somebody said earlier today, I'm not sure, was it yourself, Lindsay, about a career plan? I never had a career plan. Opportunities came up and I moved and took the opportunity. And sometimes it's arrogance. You see somebody else doing a job and you think, I could do that. And that's how, but I didn't have a plan to get to where I am now. But if you have a vision, share it with people. And do challenge the status quo. It won't make you popular with everybody, but you'll be doing the right things for patients. And don't be satisfied with mediocre. Mediocre is boring, and who wants it? And I think the key thing, be true to yourself. And respect others. I mean, there's a lot of infighting at times in multidisciplinary teams. Respect others, but also expect it back. And be inspiring to others, as many people have inspired me along my career. And encourage and facilitate leadership at all levels. It's a talent spot. If I'm good at one thing, I think I'm quite good at that. I've been able to spot people over the years, and I see someone in the room today who, and they would say to me, don't move me again, and they troubleshoot things, and they move around, they get great experience, and they've moved on to great things. There's a need to lead, but also there's a time to sit back and let other people lead, and give them the credit for it, and seek feedback from others. I have often said to my staff, some of them in the room today, if you think I'm making a complete hames of this, please tell me, don't go and tell somebody else. And they do. And I feel like Jerry Springer here, but it's about taking care of yourself and of each other. And I do think it's about, we have to look after all of our health and well-being and the really challenging jobs that we all do every day, particularly frontline staff, and look out for your colleagues. But also plan time out. I always say to people, particularly in management roles, regularly take a break. Even if you're going home to do nothing, don't cram all your holidays into 4 weeks at one end of the year, because it will kill you. Spread it out. And have some extracurricular interests. Have things that you do elsewhere. Some of them I'm going to continue to do. So that's me. And I just want to, I'm not going to disappear completely, hopefully. Hopefully there's a few years in me yet, but I'm going to be leaving this job. And I'd like to thank all of you and the number of people in the room who have supported me over the years. I'd like to thank them, and the inspiration some people have been to me. And I wish you good fortune in the future.
Alan, thank you very much. Thank you. We all enjoyed that. It's not every day we get the opportunity to have a colleague give an overview of his life work at a conference, providing the wisdom and experience gathered over 4 decades, living through change, innovation and improvement. The council and staff in NIPEC felt that we really couldn't let this occasion pass without celebrating this remarkable achievement, Alan. So it's with great sadness we wish you au revoir but not goodbye from your role as Executive Director of Nursing. In terms of NIPEC particularly, you've given your steadfast commitment to the work we do, something which I personally and professionally am grateful for. You've always been quick to answer the call to help, whether this has been to sit in recruitment panels for our SPOs, participate in events, or put your shoulder to the wheel in various work streams. You've always carried out whatever you've been asked to do with skill, enthusiasm and your characteristic, really good humour. This, of course, is all set in the context of a very challenging day job with many competing demands and priorities. In In particular, your chairmanship of Recording Care Project for the last 9 years has supported NIPEC to work with partners and stakeholders across the system to raise standards and provide assurance to the CNO and executive directors, developing and improving this important area of nursing and midwifery practice. I know I speak for many here and also for those who could not be with us today when I say you'll be greatly missed. Your knowledge, understanding, enthusiasm, professionalism, humour and unstinting dedication to health and social care services for the public of Northern Ireland through the empowerment of nurses and midwives has never wavered in all your many years of working across our system. These are just a few words of mine that describe the example you have set for us during the years of service, but we aren't going to let it rest there, Alan. We wanted to mark the occasion in some small way, and we wanted to give you something personal to remember in NIPEC and the many colleagues you've come into contact with over the years through your participation in the work. So we had an idea, or I'd say a few of the staff in NIPEC had an idea. Given that you recorded the Recording Care Project for 9 years, words are important to you, particularly those that are used to describe the contribution of nurses and midwives to the journey of a person through our services. So with this in mind, we asked senior colleagues from across the system to give us single words to describe you and what you meant to them over the years they've known you and worked with you. These words were crafted into a wordle in the shape of an iconic symbol of nursing, a lamp, to represent the career you've loved and dedicated yourself to over the last 42 years. There really was no shortage of words, and responses were rapid and plentiful, all clean and good words, and plentiful to give us what we'd like to present you with today to mark the occasion of your retirement. Now, you've already mentioned it already earlier, but behind you, Alan, over the years has been a very good woman, and that was reflected in the many responses of how important your wife and family are to you. You said it yourself, and also your wife is here with us this afternoon. To receive a small token of our appreciation. Keeping this focus, Alan, I'm not sure. Hidden down behind the curtain.
I'm not sure whether Anne was outside and heard everything I said.
The door was propped open down there. I could see the shadow behind it all, and I thought, oh my goodness, hope this stays good. And this is from everybody, from all your colleagues and nurses and midwives in Northern Ireland. Thank you so much for everything over the years. Thank you.
Thank you.